Good to see you again, Ray.
And you?
Back here, interrogation suite.
Well, I think it's quite nice as an if you're listening to this, the way how we kind of set this out is I'm directly opposite my dad. We'd almost like, it looks like I'm serving him legal letters.
It does. It looks like I am acting in a kind of Linda LaPlante drama.
Linda LaPlante.
It does.
You bring up, mate, so many references. I have no idea who you're talking about.
Linda LaPlante.
Who the hell
A
is
great
Linda LaPlante?
crime writer.
Who is that?
Linda LaPlante.
Right, we got a couple of young people in this studio. Do you know who that is? Do you know who that is? See?
You don't know who Linda LaPlante is?
No one knows who Linda LaPlante. I'm sure she's lovely.
Oh, well, anyway, listen, she's a crime writer. I did a few dramas for her back in the day.
For her?
Yeah.
Or she had... What, she's a director?
She was the writer, but also producer.
All right.
So she hired me to be in a couple of dramas, films,
Okay.
back in the day. But it's a bit like that, interrogation suite.
Well, we're back filling up these bits of advice that I can take into my life. You all right?
Yeah, I'm just burping, that's all.
God.
What?
Okay. All right. Don't die now.
I'm not, I'm just on. Mum is making me this macrobiome diet at the moment. You know
What?
That? Yeah, macrobiome diet for your gut. We were talking about it the other week.
Oh, yeah.
And it makes you fart like crazy.
Oh, we've done that.
It makes you fart like crazy. It makes you burp.
We spoke so much about farts already.
I know, but I'm just saying it does.
Anyway, welcome to Help My Dad Is Martin Kemp. This is basically me, Roman Kemp, trying to build up as much advice from my dad as possible before he dies, because this will happen at some point. And so I'm just thinking, so many people say to me, "Oh, your dad's always he must have so much great advice." And so I'm thinking, all right, help me out then. Tell me, what should I ask him? And we had I loved this one.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, go on.
So thanks so much. So you've been sending these to me, and my dad as well. This one came from Danny in Bury, right? And we asked the question, like, for people that have lost their parents, what are the questions that they always wish they had asked?
Yeah.
And he came up with this blinder. And he said, I always heard from my mum that my dad was a proper party animal. When I was a kid, I know that he liked to drink and would be out with his mates. But after he died, the only photos I had of him were group pictures on a night out. I wish I could have known more about his party life. P.S. It's just a nice excuse for me to say to my missus that it runs in the family.
Love that, Dan. Love that. And I think he's right. You do need to know about your old man and the way he used to party, because that is a different side to someone's personality, isn't it?
But you are so different to me.
Yeah.
That's why that I think the party side of things is how I know that I got more of mum.
Is it?
Mum wasn't party, was she?
Well, every now and again she did.
Yeah, but not like
After she met me for a while,
Blotto.
she was, because she had to keep up with me.
But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But Harley, my sister, she's
she worries me.
She will go on and on.
Yeah, she will. Yeah, she's got a lot of me. See, when I was
I can't hack it.
when I was that age, when I was Harley's age, I always used to think of myself as an anecdote vampire. Right? Anecdote vampire. I would never go home in case I missed a really good story, in case something happened when I was out. And I would be like, one of the last to go home, one of the last to say, yeah, that's it. I'm
What,
going to
FOMO?
bed. In case somebody
Happened.
or something happened. And I wanted the story. I wanted to be there.
But okay, so when did you start party? What's the first party you can remember?
Oh.
This could be a kids' party as well.
First party I ever remember, probably when I was only 8 years old, my birthday party. And I was always quite a nervous kid, quite shy, And I remember my mum was throwing a party in our house, and all my local school friends were going to be there.
Yeah.
And I was so nervous that on my way back from the school, in between my school and the house, there was a swing park, right, that I used to play when I was a kid. And I was so nervous about the party that was going to happen, I pooed myself.
What's the swing park got to do with it?
I pooed myself.
Why did you say the swing park though? What happened?
Because I had to go in the swing park and stand there You know, like
What,
wait for my mum
what, like a
to come and
bear?
collect me because I was covered in poo. Oh, it's really
What?
sad.
At your
really.
own birthday?
Yeah, I had to go in. I pooed myself because I was so excited about the party was going to happen and nervous who was going to be there that I pooed myself and then I ran in the swing park and waited for my mum to collect me. My poor mum didn't know where I was, right? She was just running up and down the street losing it until she ran into the swing park because she knew that's where I used to go. And then she found me in the toilets.
Oh,
Covered in poo.
And what happened? She changed your clothes?
Yeah, she took me home. It was so sweet, really, you know, because none of the kids in the party really said anything. My mum gave me a football kit to put on that she'd bought me for my birthday, which was, if you close your ears quickly, it was a Chelsea kit.
Shut up. Why?
Yeah, a Chelsea kit.
Why is it a fucking Chelsea?
I don't know why, but it was a Chelsea kit she'd bought me.
Right.
And anyway, I put that on and carried on like nothing had happened.
Wow.
And it was a good party at the end, but that's the first party that I ever remember.
Wow.
So it's quite traumatic.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah.
I do love a good pooed yourself story, though.
Yeah. Did you?
Yeah.
What? You pooed yourself?
Quite recently.
No, Ro, do not say that.
Quite recently. I think it happens to be quite regularly.
What?
Yeah, I think it does.
Is your bum tight enough or something?
I don't know, but like I was in the car, and I farted in the car.
Yeah.
I was on my own.
And
I
poo
realised
came out?
yeah.
No!
I'd been really ill.
No.
Yeah, I'd been really ill, and I had to pull into the garage, right, to get petrol.
Yeah.
So I've pulled into the garage and I've realised I need something here to help me out.
Yeah.
And I realised I need to go and get wet wipes from the garage. But then I've had to get in to the garage.
Yeah.
Right. So I've had to get into. I've then thought, oh no, I've got two choices here. Either I stay in full clobber and get in the garage somehow.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. Poo clobber.
Was it really bad?
It was bad, right? It was bad, and so I got to get in there, and then so I picked up the what's it called, the wet wipes.
Yeah.
And then I've realised this looks even worse because I'm just going back to my car. So now I've got to pretend that I've got to pay for petrol.
Yeah.
Right. So I've got the wet wipes. I've then got in the queue. It was a long queue.
No.
Long queue, and I've got two coppers in front of me as well.
No.
So two old Bill in front of me. Then they're turning around talking to me, probably thinking, what's that smell?
No.
Right? I'm walking out there like a cowboy, like John Wayne, like, you know, legs either side, trying to get into the back of the car, right? Then I've had to go back and I've realised I can't. I'm so conscious that everyone else is watching me from the petrol station that hang on a minute, Roman Kemp's
Yeah,
just
'cause they
coming
must
here.
have smelled
Roman
it
Kemp's
as
just
well.
coming here, smelling like shit, and he's gone back into the car with a load of wet wipes.
Oh.
And he's not even got petrol, right? And so then I've had to kind of fake get petrol, right?
Did you go back in?
Well, and then I've got in a car. I've had to go get in the back seat because I couldn't.
No, of course.
I can't, like, I'm in front of everyone.
Yeah.
I can't open the back door. So I've had to get in the driver's side.
Yeah.
Right? Still poo pants.
Yeah.
Right? Driver's side. Then climb over the seat. Climb over the seat.
With your legs up.
Legs up. Right? Trying to take off my trousers. Right? Not getting it on the leather.
Oh.
Right? And then I've had to, like a baby. Right? Wipe myself like a baby. Right, and then I'm thinking, what am I going to do with the rest of this stuff?
Yeah, where'd you put it?
Right, so then I've had to put my trousers back on, right, and then I've parked quite close to the bin, but not close enough.
So it didn't make it to the bin.
I'm trying to aim it out the window.
Oh.
Right, so now I'm trying to throw these pads out the window, and all the meanwhile, I could see all these people in the petrol station looking at me and all this type of stuff. But no,
Were they watching?
Of course they were.
Oh my God, bro.
So I hear you on that.
Yeah.
But that's fine.
Yeah.
I always think Do you know, like, I always think with parties, right? I hate parties. I hate them.
Yeah. Can I give you another poo story?
Go on.
Can I give you another poo story while we're on it? Right. This is. I've never told anyone this. This probably might be the weirdest thing that's ever happened to me. I was at a party, right, and it was the launch of a movie. So it was kind of like celeb driven, you know, people there, kind of people wearing their best clothes. And I'm dying to go to a toilet, right? Dying to have a poo. So I walk into this little, to the cubicle, into the toilet, and it is the tiniest, smallest little cubicle you've ever seen in your life. You know when you sit on the toilet and your knees can't open up wide enough.
Yeah, horrible, yeah.
Right? It's one of those. It's tiny, but it's got a sink in it and it's got one of those Dysons that you dry your hands with it, right? So I do my business. I do the
worst thing is that the fact that you said there's a Dyson means this is quite recent.
No, the Dyson hand blower.
Right.
It's probably about a year ago.
This is a year ago?
Yeah, this is about a year ago. And so I do the poo and it's all down the toilet, right? And sitting on top of all the toilet paper that's there. And I had a really bad stomach. It was kind of a bit runny. And so I stand up and I realise I'm really cramped and I can't turn around very well in this small toilet. So the first thing I do was I wash my hands, right? Rather than turning around to flush the toilet because it was too difficult to turn around in. So I wash my hands. And then I go over to the Dyson, the dryer, right? And switch the Dyson on. The Dyson goes right down the toilet, the full blast, and all the toilet paper with a poo is floating around the room. It was as if I'd just won some competition on TV.
You look like the end of Crystal Maze.
Yes, it was like that. Yeah, it was all this floating poo with paper around it, and I'm in the toilet trying to dodge it. Like it was coming down around my head, and I could see bits of paper, and I could see the bits with the poo on it. And the Dyson had created this vacuum that had like sucked it all up to the ceiling, and it was all dropping down on me. It was the most bizarre thing that had ever happened, right? And I came out there and I tried to tell people about it, and I was like in shock, and it was like, you know, it was awful. It was awful, really, when I think about it. It wasn't funny.
Well, I mean, we should probably talk about actual parties then.
Yeah.
Because currently, so far, we've made 3 people sick on a train. But speaking of parties.
Yeah.
Right, let's get into it. You're a party person.
Yeah. Well, I was, you know.
Now, you don't go out at all.
No, I don't like going out.
But
I feel like I've partied. I partied out. I'm partied.
Yeah, but I feel like that already.
No, you can't do. You've got a good few years to go.
I don't think I do, though. I don't think I do. Dad, I've partied with some big players.
Yeah.
I've had my time.
I know you have.
I've had my parties with Bieber.
I know you have.
I've done it.
Yeah.
But like, there's that type of world, and that was outrageous. But then I just think, I don't know what it is, right? I just think there's 2 things to a party, right? One, you don't need to speak to everyone.
Yeah.
Sometimes people go to a party and they think they need to speak to everyone.
Yeah.
Secondly, never say goodbye.
That's right. Yeah, you just got to get out.
You get out.
Yeah, don't say goodbye, because if you say goodbye, Mum does that, right? I say to her, let's go. And I know it will take Mum an hour and a half to get out the door, because she has to go around and say goodbye to everybody.
You got to leave.
Yeah.
You have to leave. You don't even say goodbye. The people that you know there will know, oh, it's fine, he's just got home.
Yeah.
What do you think the thing is that you've learned about parties over the years?
The thing I learned about parties, don't drink too much straight away. Just pace yourself. Yeah. Pace yourself. Because there is a real, you know, if you drink...
What, has it come unstuck? We peak too soon.
Yeah. If you peak too soon, you're in trouble. Yeah.
I have this thing where sometimes when I used to go out a lot, I used to do, I'd only drink tequila.
Yeah.
But then I'd drink water, a pint of water in between each one.
See, that's very good. But
Didn't get a hangover.
But that's very sensible. You know, when I used to go out, I wasn't very sensible. I was very stupid.
What do you mean?
I used to drink as much as I could and pay the price.
What, like just go there just to get out?
You got to remember, I grew up with Steve Strange, right? Steve Strange.
For those people that don't know who that is, who's that?
Steve Strange was kind of He was the lead singer in Visage. He created the whole new romantic movement.
He was a singer from the 80s, for an 80s group.
Singer from the 80s that is an absolute legend and was also my best friend. But he gave me the kind of like the bad half of my personality. You know,
Right.
the half of my personality that wanted a party when I was a kid. One of the first times I ever went out with him, right? And I'm not name dropping.
Yeah.
First time it was at a party at Trident Studios, which was where Tony Visconti, David Bowie's producer, right, recorded Ziggy Stardust and all those amazing albums. And so I'm at Trident Studios with Steve Strange, and I know Bowie's coming to this party, and he was like a Superman. He was like a hero. And I get to the end of the evening, and I know that I've drunk too much by that time. And someone takes me
Is that
over.
drink too much and a bit of everything else?
Oh yeah, no, just drinking.
Right.
Yeah, I was only 17.
Right.
And so someone takes me over to meet David Bowie, and
So you're 17 and someone says to you, do you want to go and meet David Bowie? Fuck.
Yeah. And I go over and I shake David Bowie's hand, and then all of a sudden, you know when you get that sideways crab thing going and you can't stop it and you're just moving.
Oh, we're too
Whoa!
pissed.
And I end up against the wall in the corner by the door, and I'm looking back at David Bowie, and David Bowie looks at me and goes, wanker. Yeah. And that kind of like, it taught me a lesson really early on. Do not come too quick.
Oh. That is a horrendous. Did you just really say that?
What?
Did you hear what you just said?
Do not what?
What did you just say?
Do not come too quick. No, well, I won't say that then. All right, I'll take it off. Do not drink too much too quickly.
What the
If that
fuck
offends you.
is-
If that
It's
offends
not
you.
that. I've never heard that in a drink sense.
Well,
It's a great life lesson if we were talking about sex.
Yeah, no, it's not in a drink sense. It's just in a life. It is. What's wrong with you?
Classic. Everyone knows.
What, have I embarrassed you?
No, everyone knows the classic
Have I
party
embarrassed
saying.
you?
Everyone knows the. No, you haven't embarrassed me. So what was the weirdest things that you ever saw in parties then? Because like I always think about the 80s, right?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I think those parties look wild.
Yeah.
They look wild because the thing is no one's got any phones. Right?
Yeah,
you
that's
gotta
true.
think now, right?
Yeah,
Think
yeah.
about being me now.
Yeah.
Imagine, okay, no. Imagine you now, like you from back then.
Yeah.
Now, you would be paranoid to hell.
Yeah, you would be. Yeah, you would.
Someone's got it on video. You passing out in front of Bowie.
Yeah, wouldn't it be great though? Wouldn't it be great if someone had a picture of it?
Would you prefer that? Would you prefer to have? What are some of your regrets with parties? Do you think there weren't enough pictures taken?
Yeah, there was no film. Taking a picture back in the day cost you a fortune.
So you wish there were more pictures?
Yeah, I wish there were more. Yeah, I mean, the other day I was looking through some of the pictures, trying to find pictures of me as a new romantic, and there weren't that many. You know, it wasn't. There were no pictures of me at the Blitz because
That's a nightclub.
yeah, the Blitz nightclub, because you couldn't afford to get them developed. I mean, ridiculous. You know, £7 or something to get your pictures developed, and you couldn't afford that back in the day. So there weren't enough pictures. I mean, at the moment, right? You guys worry about someone with a phone or something to take your picture at the wrong moment, but back in the day in the 80s, we worried about there were more paparazzis on the streets and in the clubs getting your picture.
Right.
In one of those moments, because you'll end up in the Sunday papers. So it's a similar worry, but just slightly different.
So like back then, the biggest worry is getting caught doing drugs. That because now I don't think that's a big thing now.
No, yeah.
I don't think it's that big a thing.
Yeah.
I don't. You don't see it as much anymore. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like you
yeah.
don't see it in the papers as much.
Yeah, you don't.
Like
Yeah.
I don't think so. That was the main thing.
Yeah,
he
yeah.
wasn't like being drunk or anything like that.
No.
But like, was
Yeah.
there not like so when parties used to happen, how'd you organise it? Because you ain't got. There's no email. There's no flipping. Guest list type stuff.
Yeah,
How you find it? One, how you find out about
you
it?
used to, right? Say if you were going to a nightclub that you used to go to. Say I went to the Blitz nightclub, right, in Covent Garden. and you want to have a party in a warehouse, you would hand out flyers. People would make up little flyers and hand those out. And that is pretty much how Spandau got going, because we couldn't get gigs when we were just starting out. And we created our own parties in warehouses and stuff like that.
So then, okay, so you go, so when you were at a party back then, how much is it all about the actual, what you wear?
It was not all about it. It was
because
about,
that's how it seems.
No, it was about having a brilliant time. You know, we used to have a great time.
But like don't you look back on it and go, like, you know, what DJ's playing it out on what, vinyl?
Yeah.
Like, that's mad.
But it's the same but different, because you didn't know anything else. It was the same but different.
What do you mean?
It was the same thing. It was the same worries. It was the same fun that you were having. It was the same amount of people that were drunk outside the front door, but as there are today. But it was slightly different. It wasn't, you know, living on a different planet.
How much did you party How much did you party then as a kid? Are we talking like just weekends?
Probably weekends, and you're talking about when I'm 16, 17, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably weekends and once during the week.
But then when does it get to every day?
3 times a week.
When does it get, did it ever get to every day?
Every day when I was in the band.
Every day?
Every day. Every day when I was in the band.
Where are you finding the party?
Every gig. No, we used to create them. We used to make them. So Spandau would gig.
What, just randomers coming in?
No, yeah, pretty much. We would play the gig, and then we would hire a room, and then you would invite most people down that were in the audience, and promoters and other bands. Duran would come down, and the party would take place. But it would happen every single night after every single party.
Christ.
After every single gig.
And what used to make a good party?
I don't know. What's the formula for a good party?
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Is it guests? Because I don't believe venue has anything to do with it.
I don't think
people worry a lot about venues in parties.
No,
I think venues are pony.
No, it's probably guests, but it's also supplying drink all night.
That's it.
And not being a limit to it.
That's it.
Yeah.
So as long as you've got a fountain of booze,
yeah,
that's all that matters.
Yeah, pretty much.
So the advice would be, it doesn't matter where you hold your party. It doesn't matter who's coming. It's just there's got to be drink.
Just get enough booze in there. That's what. That's when I look back at it. That's basically what it was.
What are what's one of the parties that you remember the most?
One of my favourite parties probably was when me and Mum got married.
Why?
Me and Mum got married, right? We got married in St. Lucia.
Yeah, because you didn't get married in front. You did it how I want to do it.
Yeah, run away. Yeah, both of us run away. We
no one was there.
No one was there. We were on a cliff top overlooking like the Caribbean, sparkling.
Yeah.
There was just me, Mum, this lady that was marrying us, and a witness. Right. We didn't know who they were.
Love that.
Mum would turn up in the back of a pickup truck.
Right.
With a tiny little white skirt on.
Right.
And we walked up to the top of the cliff.
Why is she in a pickup truck?
Because that was the only way they could get up the top of the cliff. In a pickup truck.
Oh, what, and you waited for her there?
Yeah, yeah. Right. I was waiting up there.
Where'd you get your suit from?
I had it in my bag. I took it with me.
Oh, right.
Because I was going on holiday.
Right.
And so I was waiting there. We get married, but it's just the two of us, right? So we plan to have this party when we go back home. Get back home. About a week later, party's happening. A friend of mine makes the wedding cake, right? The wedding cake is this beautiful thing, right? It's like 2 tiers. It's white icing. It's got the little
classic.
It's got little posts holding up the top tier. Got a little man and a bride, you know, on the top of it.
Yeah,
you know, like it's meant to be. And what they didn't say was that the whole thing was made out of dope.
Eesh. Oh, so you're old. So when you say it's dope, it's weed.
Black. You know black?
Yeah.
It's made out of dope. Everyone in the party off their heads.
No,
right?
what,
So-
you didn't know about it?
No. So, but we did. As soon as we cut into it and sort of smelt it, you could smell it, and but there was about 40 people in my house when I was. How old was I when I got married? Probably
30.
30 years old. Everybody was off their heads.
Yeah.
Right? And George was there. George Michael was there.
Right.
And so
What, and he's having a bit of cake, is he?
everybody's had a bit of cake.
Oh, Christ.
Everybody. Right. It was the only cake that I've ever seen adults queuing up for to take a bit home.
Right.
Right. You know. Right. But so what happened?
But you have a little party bag.
So
and it sits-
it gets to
the
about
party bag's got to go in a baggie.
it gets
It's a party baggie.
it gets to about 4 o'clock in the morning, right? And me and Mum say, right, that's it, we're going to bed, and everyone goes and they leave.
4 o'clock in the morning, I would have been passed out after like one bite.
You know, yeah, but we've been standing looking at the toaster, waiting for the toaster to pop up for about 2 hours. And it gets about 4 o'clock in the morning. Me and Mum have been in bed for about an hour, right? So, and then there's a knock on the door, and these 2 guys are there, right? I'm down there, I've got my pajamas on, and the guy said, you haven't seen George, have you?
Oh, no.
I said, what? He said, George Michael. You haven't seen George Michael, have you? I said, I haven't seen him. I thought he went home with everybody else. And as I closed the door, he was standing, staring at the door jamb. George Michael. He was standing, staring at the hinges on the door jamb.
Stuck.
He had been there stuck for hours. And I put my head out the door and I called the guys back and I said, here he is. And I got hold of George's collar and I pushed him out. And it was kind of like, you know, when the Flintstones put out their cat.
Yeah. And they put Dino outside.
They're putting Dino outside, yeah. And I said, here he is. And they took him home. But he must have been there for hours.
I think when it comes to like, when it comes to parties, like,
Yeah.
I don't think were you ever aware of how wild the parties were that I used to have when I was a kid?
No.
Outrageous.
Yeah, and I didn't want to know. Tell me about them. Tell me.
Outrageous.
So what made them outrageous?
I think the fact that we were so young, like you're so young, like you know, it was. But I think in England there's such that binge drink culture thing. It is just get as much WKD as possible.
Yep.
And neck it.
Yeah.
But like that was my generation was like young as possible. You have a house party, and it just got out of hand. Like I went to a house party once, and this poor girl, all of a sudden, someone's got a sledgehammer to the wall,
No.
and they're just going through.
No.
Like I remember, never forget, sledgehammer through the wall. I've run away from parties before from police dogs. I've done it all.
No.
Like I've jumped over fences because
when it was everybody at the party, did you know everybody?
no, you didn't know anyone, because it would be this thing where it was like people would like gate crash, right? That was a massive thing. Like when I was like
Yeah, it was massive.
young, like that was like someone would find at a party and you'd get a bunch of wrong uns turn up that just there to mess up the house.
Yeah.
I'll never forget. I seen someone wrap toilet roll all around the banisters once and then just set it alight.
No.
It was insane. It was insane. And we must have been about 14.
What did you do? Did you leave? Did you just watch and then
Oh, I set it
carry
alight.
on?
No, of course not. No, but you're just kind of there. You're like, you know, what's going on? Like, it was insane. And like, I don't know why. But you say this. Do you remember? I was 13 years old.
Yeah.
What was my party?
Pimps and whores. It was. It was.
I was 13 years old and I had a pimps and hoes party.
Yeah, that's what you wanted, though.
It was what I wanted. I know. And it's horrendous. Horrendous.
Did I do a pimps and hoes cake?
Yeah. But like all the parents were fine with it. Like everyone was fine with it. There wasn't nothing bad going on.
Yeah.
But I remember it word went round that I was doing a pimps and hoes party at mine for my 13th birthday.
Yeah, that's right.
Right? Because like 50 Cent was like the rage at the time.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So we're doing like pimps and hoes, right? And then not just that, you've then got flipping my teacher at school finds out about it.
Yeah.
And I got called into the headmaster's office.
Yeah.
And I got called in there and he goes, Roman, I've heard about a party happening. I've heard what this subject matter is.
Yeah.
I just need you to be honest with me and tell me one thing. And I said, what? He goes, is there going to be any actual pimping taking place? And I went, no, sir. I said, no, sir. I'm 13 years old and I just like 50 Cent.
Yeah.
But like, how?
You didn't even know what pimping was, to be honest. You know?
No.
It was just a 50 Cent
awful
thing, wasn't it?
But like, whenever I think back about that, I think, oh, the fuck? Like, why did you let me have that?
I don't know. Do you know, when I brought you up,
Not just you, Mum.
It was just about when you know, we were bringing you up. I just wanted you to have a laugh, and I just thought, you know, you do your own things. You watch what movies you want to watch. You can watch the worst horror films if they scare you and you don't want to watch them anymore. Then that's up to you. Watch violent things, and if they're too violent for you, you don't want to watch them. That's good. I just wanted you to experience it all. And when you came home to me and said, "I want a pimps and hoes party," I said, "Yeah, all right then. Yeah, let's do it."
What do you think? You're 13.
No.
Outrageous.
It's not going to turn you into a pimp and
Do you
a
know
hoe.
that still goes down? No, listen. Do you know what? I agree, and I think that's good. I think you're right. You know, and I think you are right, and that's something I should take into consideration when I have my children.
Yeah.
Because I think you are right, but I think that is outrageous. If you think about it now, like, because I can almost hear myself as a dad being like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Do you think? Be honest. Do you think if Harley had said that, do you think you would have said no?
No, I would have said
sister.
no. Absolutely honest, I would have said the same thing. I would have said if that's what you want to do.
Was there ever a discussion between you and Mum as to whether or not that could actually happen?
No, no, we just did it. No.
Isn't that unbelievable? You know that party goes down in history in my friends. My friend group, that goes down in history.
Is it?
Like, all people ever talk about is that.
Pimps and hoes.
13. Roman's Pimps and Hoes party. That was my one and only party. Went out, knew I peaked.
Yeah.
Got out.
Yeah.
That's
well,
it.
It's good then. Yeah.
But like, you know, as I got older, I think, you know, partying for me was like, it's all just about, especially when you're in London as well.
Yeah.
It's so like, the thing that annoys me is bouncers.
Yeah.
Ruin it.
Yeah.
Ruin
Yeah. Absolutely.
it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry if you're listening
Get
to this
rid
and
of bouncers.
you're a bouncer. Well, no, you can't get rid of them.
Yeah, you get rid of them, bro.
Can't get rid of
Free
them.
for all. That's what. Just let people beat each other up. Yeah.
Do you know what? Have a full
just a free for
battle
all.
royale downstairs.
Yeah. Just have
Settle it there.
Just have a big battle. Get rid of it and done. Done and dusted.
But like that's the thing though. But parties always turn into fights.
Yeah, I
Don't
know.
you think? There's always a fight.
No, not anymore. Does it?
Were there a lot of
happen
fights
with
in your days?
Not that many. Not that many.
When I was a kid, it was a fight every time.
Was it?
Every time.
Yeah,
there was
see,
a
I don't
party
remember that.
and there was a fight every time. You'd always have it. It would always be the same thing. But like I always think like I never understand it. We have a phenomenon now, right, that I don't know if you know about.
Yeah.
Do you know what bottle girls are?
No.
So maybe I'm doing them a disservice. I
Yeah.
apologise if I am calling them bottle girls, but that's
Is
just
that
how-
the girl that comes around and
With a bottle
with your tequila and
and
stuff?
sparklers?
No. Go
So
on.
you go to a club, right?
Yeah.
This is what happens now at parties.
Yeah.
You go to a nightclub, right? And you pay for the most expensive. Did you used to pay for tables back in the day?
No.
That wasn't even a thing.
No.
Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah.
So you have
I know now.
You have a
but-
certain table in
Yeah.
a club, and they go minimum spend.
Yeah. That never happened back in the day.
What, you never had minimum spend
No,
table?
no, no.
Now,
No.
minimum spend table is 20 grand. London,
No way.
15 to 20 grand.
What clubs do you go to?
No, I'm not. Listen, I'm not paying that.
Yeah.
You're joking. But like, you go to like nightclubs now, like 15, 20 grand, that's the minimum spend. Right? So then you go in there, and then like it becomes this thing where the blokes, it's always fellas.
Yeah.
It's always fellas. It's always
yeah.
fellas that got no girls around them.
Yeah.
And they're just waiting for the girls to come to their table.
Yeah, of course.
Right? That's it.
Course.
And the girls go up there.
Just
and
giving
I
it
don't know.
large, aren't they?
Yeah. But you know, it's not just the fellas. problem.
Waving their gold card around.
The girls listening to this will know exactly what I'm talking about. There was also a certain type of girl and a certain type of person that will hunt for those tables.
Yeah, of course.
And will flirt with you and do whatever you say, blah, 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 just so they can have the alcohol.
If that's
what you want to do. Hey, listen, if that's what you want to do, why not?
Yeah, why not?
Right? But like now it becomes like one table will order one, and then they'll see, oh, that bottle costs 15 grand. Let's go again. And then all of a sudden another bottle gets sent over to the other table, and it becomes a match between the people. I've seen people buy Dom Perignon and just pour it on the floor just to look in the face of the other fellas on the opposite table to say we're spending more money than you.
What's the biggest builder you've ever seen come over there?
150 grand.
No.
Yeah.
150 grand.
Yeah. There's a YouTuber that I will not name.
Yeah.
But I went on a night out
Well,
with
I can
them.
guess who it is.
It's not that one.
Oh, it's not?
It's not that one. I know you've
Is
seen it.
Is it the other one?
He's the other one.
Oh.
He's the other one. And £150,000.
No.
£150,000.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. KSI, actually.
So it's not like when you wake up in the morning and you're looking for that tenner.
No, I'll
what
tell you.
happened to that? I know I had it.
I'll tell you one story, right? And this I won't forget this. And this was quite a funny one.
Yeah.
You know, I was at a party, one of my birthday parties once, because we like I did it for a while, where like I would have my birthday party and I'd have a weekend where me and the lads would just go out and we'd do. This was when I was in my London phase of going out.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, you'd have the two most exclusive nightclubs and you'd do proper wanker. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you do that for 2 nights.
Of course, yeah.
Right. So me and the boys go to these clubs. I think the week before, something had happened online, and KSI, the YouTuber, he'd sent me a text, and it was just out of the blue, and it was a bit of a shitty text.
Yeah.
It was a weird one. I don't know why he sent it to me.
Yeah.
It was mildly confrontational. It was a bit strange.
Yeah.
And he won't mind me saying this because it happened, right? Yeah. And it was a bit odd. It was kind of out of nowhere. So JJ KSI went to school with me, so you know we kind of go back a little bit.
Yeah,
and
of course.
I wasn't, you know, I was popular. I was a bit of a knob at school, so like you know, and he was in a different group, so we weren't really mates at school. So anyway, so he sent me this really kind of dodgy text, and then I seen him at a nightclub on my birthday, and I seen him at a nightclub on my birthday, and he actually come up to me, and he apologized for this text that he sent, and I appreciated it.
Yeah,
I mean, I appreciated it. He came over to me and he apologized, and I thought that was the end of it, because I don't care. You know, whatever it happens, you say every now and again you say the wrong thing, whatever. So he apologized to me, and I thought, you know, cheers, man. And then I was 24, 25. All of a sudden, 24 bottles of Dom Perignon start coming out.
No.
To my table.
No.
And he's bought all of them.
No.
He's bought all of them.
All with sparklers.
All with sparklers.
All the drink girls
sparklers.
bringing them out.
Everyone.
Oh.
Everyone coming out. That was the most it was actually because of him that I don't even know if he remembers that, but I remember all the lads thinking. Obviously, I told everyone that I bought it.
Yeah.
But like, there's weird things. You know, you meet so many random. Like, you must have met so many random celebrities in your time at parties.
Of course.
Who's the most random?
I was with Queen on Queen Elizabeth II. Is it Queen Elizabeth II? Let me just check. What was it? What's the Queen Elizabeth boat that's on dry docks in Los Angeles?
No. What's the?
Is it Queen Elizabeth?
God, you couldn't sound more out of touch with normal people.
Well, I'm
What's the Queen? Listen to what you just
Bro,
said. What's
I'm not
the
in touch
Queen
with normal
Elizabeth
people.
boat that is on the? We're in a studio in London.
Right.
Like, our poor producers look at you as if to say, "Oh yeah," they're kind of going, "Oh yeah,
all right,
is that
hang on a
What's
second.
that boat that's in the middle of LA in that rich
Fuck off
place?
the lot of you.
Yeah.
Right. I was on the Queen Elizabeth.
You're on a boat. I'm
on a boat. It's dry docks in Los Angeles, right? Queen, the band. It's their party, right? So the party's going on and the fireworks are going up and Queen and Roger Taylor and all Brian May and all those guys are there.
Yeah.
Brian May's there and Freddie's there.
Freddie Mercury.
Freddie Mercury's there. And then all of a sudden, right, Anita Dobson comes up to me.
So this is Brian May's wife.
Yeah, Brian May's wife comes up to me and she got Gary with her. And she looks at me and she goes, Martin, have you met Gary? And she's introducing the pair of us. But Anita Dobson, I'm going to go with Anita Dobson. Because that was the strangest thing when Brian...
So she introduced you to your own brother?
Yeah, but that was the strangest thing, most random thing. Because when Brian and Anita got together, it was quite a strange pairing. You know? Anita from EastEnders and Brian from Queen. It was quite a strange pairing. And when she came up and she introduced the pair of us, I thought, I'm going to go with that as the most random.
There is two stories that
I'm
going to need to walk through with you. One of which is a story that you've told me in the past.
Yeah.
You don't have to tell this one.
Yeah.
About when you go into a house and you notice that there are some people upstairs in a room.
Oh, yeah, all right. Shall I tell you that story?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm with Steve Strange. And
how old are you?
I'm probably 18.
Yeah.
Right, I'm with Steve Strange. And he's organised this party that's in Kensington somewhere.
Yeah.
In this massive old house. It looks like people are squatting in like a really big, expensive house, right? But me and Steve, we walk through the door, we're dressed up. Steve's looking like Robin Hood, most probably in the New Romantic days.
What outfit, yeah.
Yeah, he's in his outfit. I've most probably got some kind of cowboy thing going on.
Yeah.
And we walk in. As soon as you walk in, you can see that there is this strange atmosphere. People walking around not knowing what they are doing, right? Completely off their heads. And I walk past one room, and this room has this sound of bumblebees, right? People... I can hear it coming through the door, and it's going bzzz. And I walk in and I look in, and there is about 40 people all standing in the dark around the room, right, around the walls going bzzz.
Facing the wall?
Yeah. All standing around the walls, looking at the wall going bzzz. And I'm looking, this is fucking weird, right? In all my life, in all my 18 years, I've never seen anything like that before in my life.
Yeah.
Right. And I promise you, within half an hour, right, after a glass of water that somebody most probably spiked, I was there. But
had you joined a cult?
I was there all night.
Had you joined a cult?
I was there for hours.
Had you joined a cult?
No, it was drugs. Some of the spiked.
What was the drug?
It was an acid. It was like an MDMA. No, what was it? Oh, fuck. I tell you what it was. It's terrible. Because it was...
right, mescaline.
The drug.
Yes.
Right, which is what the Beatles wrote Rubber Soul on.
Well, mescaline is the thing that Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Yes.
The
that's
Johnny
exactly
Depp
that
one.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
So it turns everything to rubber. Everything you touch.
Rubber?
Yeah, like a table. If you touch a table, it goes to rubber, and it kind of like bends down to the floor and then bounces back up again. Right. And everything turns to rubber.
So why were you buzzing?
Well, because I thought it was a bumblebee. I thought it was a bumblebee. But it turns everything to rubber. And then after I must have been in this house buzzing for about 6 hours.
6 hours?
6 hours, right? It must have been in there, right? My lips were all dehydrated. Like, my face was like caved in. I was absolutely
caved in
a mess. And all I knew was I had to get home, right? And so I walk out into the fresh air, and you know when you go into the fresh air after those nights, it all hits you and it comes back again, doesn't it? It gets worse sometimes instead of getting better. And I see this bright yellow light coming down the road, and I realise it's a black cab, and I think, this is it. This is my chance. I can get home, right? And I look up at the sky, and the sky is all like gone cubey. It's like got edges on it. It's like I'm standing in a box.
Right.
And so the cab comes, and the guy rolls down his window, and I'm thinking, thank God for that, it's all over. And as I go to speak, my whole jaw turns to rubber, and he goes, take me home. And it starts bouncing off the pavement. My lower jaw is going up and down. And I'm thinking, I'm trying to hold it together, trying to hold my jaw in my hand. Take me home to Muswell Hill. And the guy thinks I'm absolutely off my head. And he drives off. And I'm left standing there for another 2 hours.
My God. That was a party.
That was a party. That was a night. That was.
Then what about you? You claim that you went to a party and you met Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
Did you really meet Michael Jackson?
Yeah. I had a night out with Michael Jackson, which was really odd. It was a party that was happening in Legends. Legends was a nightclub just off of around the back of Gower Street, right?
Soho.
Soho, yeah, right. Soho in London. And it was a party that was happening there. I was with Steve again, Steve Strange.
Right, so Steve is the problem here.
Yeah, he was the problem.
Yes.
It was absolutely the problem.
Yes.
But he was my best friend.
Did Mum like him?
Mum loved him. Yeah, but Steve Strange. No, Mum loved him. Even my mum and dad loved Steve Strange. Right, I remember looking in my house, my mum and dad's house. We stayed over a couple of nights, and when we went out, and I'd wake up in the morning, and Steve would be sitting there sharing a cigarette with your nan, dressed in his Robin Hood outfit from the night before. And my mum loved him. So there was one night, there was a party in Legends. So Steve said, let's go. So I get down there, and he didn't say anything about Michael Jackson. Get down there, Michael Jackson is there in this party. Steve knows his manager.
So what year would this have been? This would have been what?
This is just after he's released Off the Wall, which must have been about 82.
Yeah.
Right, 82. And just before he'd got into like Thriller.
Yeah.
All right. So it wasn't like Mad Michael Jackson. It was like the cool geezer.
One.
Cool geezer. And so we met, and we must have spoken about something, me and Michael Jackson. And then we all say, let's go to Limelight, which is down the road into another club. But here's the thing, right, bro? I never remembered any of this. I forgot all about it. And it wasn't until probably 6 years ago, that I was doing one of those Q&A evenings, right, where the audience get to ask you questions.
Yeah.
And I was giving, at this Q&A evening, I was giving all my best stories out, making people laugh, doing the whole big deal, been on stage for about an hour. And then I said, okay, let's open it up to the audience. And this fella stands up, he says, Martin, do you remember me? And I says, no, not really. And he goes, I was with you when we went out with Michael Jackson. And all of a sudden, when he said that, the whole evening came flooding back. I went out with fucking Michael Jackson and I forgot all about it. To the point where I can't even remember what he said. I spent like a couple of hours.
So that's the thing then. See, but then that's another rule. You can't go too much because you want to
too
remember
quickly.
It. Right. Okay.
Yes.
Brilliant.
You can't go too quickly.
Brilliant.
Yeah, you can't go too quickly because I can't remember anything about it. I remember walking down the street with him. I remember looking at him while we were talking. I remember looking at his weird trousers because they were halfway up his ankles.
Right.
Because he was just at that point with Off the Wall.
Yeah.
And he was there promoting that record. But what we spoke about, I can't remember.
Well, do you know what? We'll have to leave it there. I think we're going to have to need a part 2 of this. Because I think there's too many.
Yeah, it is.
Well, look.
Listen, I'll tell you why. It's because everybody out there has their favourite party stories. Everybody.
Well, the thing is that what I will say is that I've learned a little bit about that.
Yeah.
Just the venue doesn't matter. Guests don't really matter. It's all about the drink, but don't drink it too soon.
Yeah, but make sure you got enough drink.
Yes, fine. You made that very clear.
Make sure you got enough drink.
And no mescaline.
Yeah, but listen, I was spikes on that one.
Yeah, shut up.
Yeah. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah, fine. Well, look, thanks for listening to that. Cheers to, who was it, Danny, that sent that in? That was a lovely little party chat, mate.
Danny, I hope you realise you got me in so much trouble with that conversation.
Yeah, brilliant though. Very good. Make sure as well to never miss an episode. You can subscribe or follow the podcast wherever you're listening right now. You'll get a notification. You'll see it. Let us know what you think. We always say just give us a review. I always say just leave 5 stars because if you don't like it, you're handing it off to someone that you probably won't like. And that's good for
you can get them to waste their time.
You can get them to waste their time, but if you do like it, someone that you do like, you can give it a 5-star review and they'll enjoy it.
Yay!
So there you go. So win-win. Stay in touch outside the podcast. My dad's got Instagram. Just whatever you want. right? However you want to do it. And YouTube as well. All right, we'll be back next for more of these weird father-son chats.
All right, see you people.
Bye.
This has been an Insanity Studios production.